Bob Filner pleaded guilty to felony false imprisonment and 2 misdemeanor counts of battery in a plea bargain yesterday. Filner's admission of guilt comes less than 2 months after he resigned as mayor over dozens of claims of sexual harassment. Attorney Dan Eaton joins us for an inside look into plea deals and sentencing options. Dan, welcome back.
Yeah, thank you very much, Peggy.
Now, Dan, Filner's most serious crime, a felony, was for false imprisonment. What is the legal definition of false imprisonment?
The legal definition of false imprisonment essentially is restraining someone's personal liberty against their will. So what were the underlying facts of that? Apparently, according to the Deputy Attorney General who appeared at the hearing, it had to do with what has entered San Diego civic lexicon, the Filner headlock. When you put someone in a Filner headlock, you are preventing or impairing their freedom of movement, and that appears to be the basis of a false imprisonment charge.
He also admitted guilt of misdemeanor battery charges or unwanted touching, but not sexual battery. What is this term as far as misdemeanor battery mean as far as sentencing options as opposed to sexual battery?
Well, again, we're talking about a context where a plea deal was apparently entered. So the issue of what would have happened had this gone to trial and sentenced in the ordinary course, we can't really know. But the bottom line is, because of the charges to which he has pled guilty, the fact is that he's not looking at jail time, at least unless the judge disagrees with the sentencing recommendation.
And what about is he going to have to be listed as a sex offender?
You know, and I don't know the answer to that question. It's a fascinating question because generally, of course, if you commit a sex offense, you're on the sex offenders registry for life. One thing he will be able to do, however, is he will be able to vote for his successor. He does not fall in those categories of felonies where you are disqualified from voting as a result of it because he will not be incarcerated.
Oh, I understand that he was disqualified during his probation. Is that possible?
Parole and so forth. But
yeah.
No, I understand from my research, and I actually posted something on my Twitter account from the Secretary of State's office that I understand, and maybe I'm incorrect, but according to the information I saw from the Secretary of State, he can vote, in fact.
Okay. Well, let's take a look at this. He's been could have been sentenced to 3 years in prison, fined $10,000 for the felony count, and up to 2 months for each of the misdemeanor charges. Instead, in this plea agreement, it calls for 3 years probation, 3 months of home confinement, and he must undergo mental health counseling. In addition, we were told he could no longer vote during the probation period. Okay. He can never run for public office again and must forfeit most of his mayoral pension. What kind of discretion does the judge have in enacting what seems to be this agreement?
Well, the judge, of course, is going to look at all of the various factors and is going to get a report, and he will be able to determine whether, in fact, jail time is required or not. But this was a very hard-fought plea deal, and that's why it sort of came out of the blue. But you can bet this has been in the works for a very long time. Ultimately, though, on December 9th, Judge Trinacosta will make the final call as to what ex-Mayor Filner's punishment will be.
The 3 victims or plaintiffs in this case were named Jane Does. Do they have a say in a plea deal agreement or the sentencing?
No, they're normally not part of this process at all. Where they will have a say, however, is whether they choose to bring a civil complaint, and that part of it is not over. Understand that this plea deal only deals with one category of legal jeopardy to which the mayor was subjected, and that is criminal charges arising out of sexual misconduct. He is still facing potential criminal charges arising out of this money thing that was going on before, and he's also facing an ongoing sexual harassment lawsuit that is a civil case, as well as any other sexual harassment lawsuits which may be brought and for which the time has not expired.
Do you think that he has any chance of recovering from this? Can politicians recover from this sort of thing, come out and say, I've learned my lessons, I can be an advocate for others to not do the same thing?
It depends on what you mean by recover. If you're talking about politically, anything can happen. Remember, in South Carolina, the former governor had some issues there, and he actually is now a sitting congressman after saying that he went on a hike, and actually he went to Argentina to be with his mistress, Mark Sanford. So recover in a political sense, maybe, but I think ultimately this is going to be about what appears in Bob Filner's obituary, and the lead paragraph in that obituary is probably going to refer to these. Now, does that constitute recovery, even if he gets some sort of political redemption? I don't know. Did Richard Nixon ever fully recover from Watergate?
Yeah, good question. Attorney Dan Eaton, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Peggy.